His Daf Yom Yerushalmi Pesachim was supposed to see the article on the top of Tesam Ralph and the Vilna on the top of Zion and base. But we're going to read the Mishnah again from Ches Amud Beis in the article, and from Zion Amud Aleph in the Vilna, and then start the Gemara. So the Mishnah says, Amar Meir said, Mediv Divrayim, from the words, from whose words we'll see momentarily in the Gemara. Lamani, we learned Shesarvin Truma Tmeya, a Torah Ima Tmeya, Pesach, we learn burn Truma, which is Torah, Truma, which is Torah, on Pesach. And the question is, what does it mean by on Pesach? Amar Abiyasa said, no, any Amida, that's not true. You can't burn Truma, Torah, Truma Tmeya. But Modim Rabbi Lezer Yeshua Shesarvin Zulatz, well, actually, rather, Modim Rabbi Lezer Yeshua Shesarvin Zulatz, each one has to be burnt independently. When they be burnt together, Amanech Laku, when it's good Machlikas Al Hatluya Vatmeya. When you have Putum, which is totally, it's a suffix to Tuma, and Putum, which is definitely Tuma. Rabbi Lezer meant Yisrael, Zulatz, let's say it's definitely burned separately. Rabbi Yeshua Meir Shtein Kalas, Yeshua says they can both be burnt together. Now, that the Gemara says, Ma'u bePesach, what's Pesach? Bar Basar. And the Melecha Shlema brings down from Rabbi Lezer as Kari that the Machlekes Rameh and Rabbi Yossi is only on Erev Pesach. And that, Rabbi Meir says, is burned on Erev Pesach as the Zman of Biur is imminent, even though right now it's only the Rabbanon, you can still burn Truma to Tmeya with Truma Tahira, right? But even Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir Yossi says no. But even Rabbi Yossi agrees on Pesach that when the Truma Torah is also midaraisa, then of course you can burn Truma Torah with Truma Tmeya. So it's only an Erev Pesach issue, and that there's a machlekes between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi. But it is not on Pesach itself. It says Mishnah Pesach means Arbasar, but on Pesach itself, even Rabbi Yossi, you can burn Truma Tmeya and Truma Torah together. But when the Isser is doraisa. Okay, now the question is when it says midivrei, right? The mayor said midivreim lamanu. So who's midivreim? So the Rabbi Yochanan said midivrei Rabbi Akiva, midivrei Rabbi Chana is Kohanim, right? That's from Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Chana is Kohanim. Now he's the Rabbi Meir's taking it a step further than they are, but he's taking their svara and applying it further. He holds, as we're going to see later on, I think, he's machmir on the raisa. The rabban is the same as the raisas. So therefore, just like you're allowed to burn a tuma, a light tuma deraisa with a more stringent tuma deraisa, which we learn from Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yochanan L'Shitaso, that holds that they're both tumas. The rights are just one is more stringent, one is more lenient. So to allow to burn Tamid the rice is the Rabbanah because he's Machmer and Yisroi Rabbanah the same as Yisroi the rice. Rishim and Lokashimar, no, we didn't learn from there. We learned out B'div Rabbi Lezer, Div Rabbi Yeshua. Now the Korban Eidah says, which Rabbi Lezer are we sure referring to? So let's see the Korban Eidah side. The time paragraph of the Shumas, we learned the first paragraph of Shumas. Chavis shall chuma. You have a jug of chuma. Shenishba b'kaseh, which broke in the upper vineyard, the upper wine press, I should say. V'tachtonet tmeya, and the lower wine press is tamei. Mother lezer mishur blezer mishur go shim yachol latzim mimena revius betara. If you can save a small measure, a few ounces, betara yatzil, you should save them. Mimlav, and if not, you can't save it. Let it go down and become tamei in the lower wine press because it's going to flow down there. Vaytam b'yadayim shouldn't be matam b'yadayim. Rabbi Yoshua Omer Yoshua says af yitamena b'yad. Keep him matam b'yadayim. Prevent it from going down to the tamei part, because if it goes down to the tamei part, it's going to cause all sorts of problems because it's going to be trum which is mixed with chulin. So come Rameir says Medivi Rabbi Yeshua Manu came to Sofali Bud. So it's going to be lost imminently anyway. It's going to be Kontame, reaches lower wine price. Shai Lutama Biyat. You're allowed to be Matame immediately. And stop it from going down lower wine price, cause you problems. Come Rameir says Divi Rabbi Yeshua Manu from what he says came to Sofali Bud, Shai Lutama Biyat, who are by Erev Pesach Nami. So it's true in Erev Pesach as well. Divrei Kamar and Divrei, which Rameir is referencing, means and of course Rabbi Shita Rabbi Yeshua. that you'll have to be metamed because of the extenuating circumstances. Here too, you'll have to be metamed the truma Torah and burn with the truma tmeya because of the extenuating circumstance of Erev Pesach. Amar Rabbi Zira Kumi Rabbi Yasi. Rabbi Zira said in front of Rabbi Yasi. Now, Yerushalmi Pesachim change gears. I want to see if the article also changes the gears there. The article does not change gears, but the Yerushalmi Pesachim and the basis of the near does, and we'll change it because it makes it. You can make it work either way, but I think it works either if we change it. Rabbi Zir kum Rabbi Yasi. Rabbi Zir said for Rabbi Yasi, "Adaited Rabbi Shimon Lakish nicha." Rabbi Shimon Lakish, not Rabbi Yochanan, because Shimon Lakish. It's understandable why Mishnah brings down Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua, because if Rabbi Meir learns as a halacha from Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua, so then we say, oh yeah, okay, true, that's Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua. But then on one thing, but more Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua on another thing. In other words, Rabbi Yosef, the Mishnah is saying, I disagree with what you learned from Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua about that you can burn Truma Tmeya and Truma Torah. But I do agree that Rabbi Lezer and Yeshua have a discussion of tolling on another issue, right? So whether you burn Tluya and Tmeya. So, but Adaita Rabbi Yochanan, again, not Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan, Ma Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Lezer and Yeshua were not the topic in the Reish of the Mishnah. That's not where Rabbi Meir inferred his halacha from. So why bother bringing them here at all? They're not the issue. Where was Rabbi Yossi bringing it down? Meir was talking about what I learned from Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Chanina's kind of Rabbi Akiva. Discuss that. Why is Rabbi Yeshua being brought down from left field? So that more answers. Amalei Tanoininu. No, it's a different town. And in fact, later on in this halacha, Rabbi Yechim himself is going to say, Rabbi Shimon Shanya. It's not Rabbi Yossi speaking. It's a new statement. The Mishnah is bringing down a separate statement. It's not the Rabbi Yossi saying to Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yeshua said something, but not that. No, it's a new, because that wouldn't be true, since he's saying that only after Rabbi Meir and that Rabbi Shimon Meir learned out from Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Akiva. No, it's a new statement, a separate statement Rabbi Shimon made that about clear with what's our discussion, what we can burn together. He brought down related and different machlokes. Okay. Rabbi Yossi b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said, "Hakomadim b'shishasar shesarfin truma Torah utmeya." Everybody agrees, and shishasar, even Rabbi Yossi agrees, and this goes back to what we said before a few minutes ago, that in the name of Shlema, that everybody agrees, and the 16th you can burn truma Torah and utmeya. So that's Rabbi Yossi Makshe. Rabbi Yossi, of course, asked a question. But that's confusing because it's not the same Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, the Amoira, Maksha asks, Lama Rabbi Yossi, why is Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah say Enami Amida? If everybody agrees on the 16th, you can burn it together. So therefore, what's his question? But again, this is misleading because Rabbi Yossi's question was about to ask is not based on the assumption that, well, don't you agree with him on the 16th? No, his Gemara is about to explain. Rabbi Yossi had something else difficult. Okay, so we really, there are two separate statements here. First of all, Rabbi Yossi Shem Yochanan said, and this is Rabbi Yossi Gemara saying, period. Then Rabbi Yossi the Amor asked a question. What's bothering Rabbi Yossi the Mishnah? Even talk about on Erev Pesach. Okay, so and now the Gemara explain. What's bothering Rabbi Yossi the Amora about Rabbi Yossi the Tano? So Rabbi Yossi du Shamadam Rabbi Yochanan Div Rabbi Akim Div Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim. Rabbi Yossi heard that Rabbi Yochanan said, as we said before, that Rabbi Meir learns his halacha. They burn Truma Torah and Truma Torah on Erev Pesach from Rabbi China, from the words of Rabbi Akiva and the words of Rabbi Chinas Kana Konim. Okay, Vushama, but he had not heard Rabbi Yochanan's Shita in the previous Mishnayos. He only heard about Kapara Shita. Right, we've been talking about his way for several days. right? Here Barka Parashita, who said that Omar Avatum Dvar Torah, Vladatum Divrei. That we're talking about in the previous Mishnayos, Avatuma and Vladatuma. And Avatuma, saying which came to Avatumas, they're telling me the rice, so he came to me Vladatuma, so he told me the Rabbanan. So he said, whole time he talking about the rice and the Rabbanan. What's the problem here? So, for Loshama, he didn't hear that Rabbi Yechon himself had said, Bein Zeh Dvar Torah. That we're talking about both the Dvar Torah, that which comes to Avatumas Dvar Torah, that which comes to Vladatumas also. Vumakshe. And he asks, Kishesh with Lisop Isser Torah in Tumas Torah. Just like that, to burn an Isser Torah with Tumas Torah. Shkein Sorfi, and how do we know that to burn an Isser Torah with Tumas Torah? Shkein Sorfi Tumas Torah in Tumas Torah, because you can burn Tumas Torah. Right? That, so far, so good. Quite everybody. But just now we're going with Pegar Kapara. Kach Yemutu Yisov Isser Divrayim in Tumas Torah. Should be allowed to burn Isser Divrayim, which is the chametz and her Pesach, even though it's Truma Torah, with Tumas Torah. Why? She can serve Tumas Divrayim because we can burn Tumas Divrayim, that which came to me Vlada Tuma, which is the that which came to me Vlada Tuma. She can Tumas Divrayim, Tumas Torah, with that which came to me the Raisa, which is Bar Kapara's Shita. So therefore saying, what did Rabbi Yossi, the town, have difficult? This is Bar Kapara said this, according to Bar Kapara, we already know. We can burn an Issa D'Rabbanan, with a Tumah D'Rabbanan, with an Issa, with a Tumah D'Oraisa, we can also burn an Issa D'Rabbanan with a Tumah D'Oraisa. What's the difference? So Gemara says, and it could be all this is Rabbi Yossi himself hashing it out. This probably is. So Rabbi Yossi says, Shani Isra, Shani Tuma. So maybe you'll say, there was a Chin Isra and Tuma. Okay, that's Rabbi Yossi's question. Because, in the Mishnah, because, Rabbi Meir is extrapolating from Isra, burning Isra Tuma D'Rabbanan with Tuma D'Oraisa to Isra D'Rabbanan and Tuma D'Oraisa. Maybe that's not a legitimate extrapolation, right? Shani Isra to Shani Tuma. Maybe you want to say that, right? No, that's not going to work out. That's what it says. I'm Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, and as Rabbi Yossi says his name Rabbi Yochanan. So again, it could be there's all again Rabbi Yossi speaking, or there's more elaborating. That doesn't really matter for our purposes. Seems like it's the Gemara elaborating because it's hard to say Rabbi Yossi is quoting himself. But the Gemara is elaborating on on what Rabbi Yossi had difficult, and we can't say Shani Isser and Shani Tuma. Why? Because the other same Rabbi Yossi, because Rabbi Yossi said, "Akol moed in B'shisha, so I should start in Truma Torah in Mitmeya." Everybody agrees. In Rabbi Yossi, the Tana agrees that you can burn on Shisha Sar Truma Torah and Tmeya. Okay, that's the case. Kishem shluchi laktolanu ben isur tuma letumas Torah. Listen, again, we're going to Bar Kapara, and we're going to extrapolate too via Bar Kapara. But first, we're saying, okay, even Rabbi Yossi agrees. You see, on Pesach itself, you can burn Isur Torah with Tumas Torah, right? Because the Isur with Chametz on Pesach is an Isur Torah if it's Torah, and you're burning with Tumas with the Tumas Torah, the Truma Tmeya. So that's the case. Kashem shel I've learned a bit Isur Torah with Tumas Torah. She can serve in Tumas and you can burn the Isur Torah with the Tumas Torah. And the reason we can do that is Shekain Sorfin Tumas Torah. In other words, we're not mechalik between, just like you can burn Tumas Torah, you can burn Isur Torah with Tumas Torah. So, according to Bar Kapara's understanding, we're going with Isur Divrayim with Tumas Torah. So too, you can burn the Isur Divrayim with Tumas Torah. Shekain Sorfin Tumas Divrayim and Tumas Torah, because just like you can burn. So therefore, just like on Pesach itself, you equate Tumah and Isser to burn the Tumah D'Oraisa with the Isser D'Oraisa with Tumah D'Oraisa, right? And according to Bar Kapara, we already established that applies also to the Rabbanans as well. So turn on Pesach, burn the Isser D'Rabbanan of Chometz and Erev Pesach with the Tumah D'Oraisa of the Truma Tmeah, right? So why be what's Rabbi Yossi's question? What's Rabbi Yossi Tana's question? Ella Beinzu Dvar Torah. So rather, they both evidently again. It seems that it was hard to tell, but it seems that Rabbi Yossi himself is saying this, even though before we quote Rabbi Yossi and kind of like we'd be talking about himself in third person. But the Gemara comes to the conclusion that yes, according to it only works out. Rabbi Yossi's astonishment, according to Rabbi Yechanan. Right, you learn that, like Rabbi Yochanan, that B'tuna also about by Vladituma, it's also Doraisa. And then Rabbi Yossi is astonished. He's saying, how do you learn out one from the other? That's the Psul Torah with a Psul Torah, yeah, with Tumas Torah, yes, but a Tumakala Doraisa or Tumakala Doraisa, Tumakamur Doraisa, sorry, yes, but not a Mechdese. An Isser Drabanan with, and maybe even Isser Torah with an Isser, like on Pesach itself. Sorry, an Isser Torah also with a Tumas Torah. Yes, but a Mechdese that an Isser Drabanan with an Isser Torah. Okay, so that's the saying. Well, it's concluding that again, either Rabbi Yossi himself saying or was saying court that you have to come to the conclusion, and that's the answer to Rabbi Yossi's question, that we'll tell you about Tumas Torah in the prior Mishnayos, it's going to call him and of Rabbi Akiva. And now the Gemara brings down more or less the same thing over again, just for name another more and much more shorthand. Asa Bechir means Barba means Sarva Amar Mishmeid Rabbi Yossi. He said in the name of Rabbi Yossi. Beinzu Dvar Torah. They have to be both way about the Dvar Torah. In other words, both Avatuma, both that which came to Avatuma, that which came to Vladatuma, are, I guess it's Rabbi Yochanan, not Rabbi Yossi. Let's go have it. Here in the Vilna, it just means Shmei the Reish Yud. I think it's Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, Shmei Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah. Okay, so so Gemara says. Again, Asa Rabbi Chia Barba bin Tzor Var Mishmeid Rabbi Yochanan Benzu Torah V'Amaris, and that and we said to explain the Rabbi Yossi's question in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi Tana's question. Yos, I understand. Tamon in the Berachin is going to call him and Rabbi Akiva Tumas Torah. There's Tumas Torah, but here. It's a psul Torah. It's not even psul Torah. It's bitmiya, as the either you make a bitmiya or you change the girsa here. But you read a psul Torah. It's a psul Torah. It's not even psul Torah. Psul Torah, like on the 16th. You say before that I can understand, but that's how you're talking about it, Meir. You're talking about a psul Torah with a tumah d'oraisa. Mechdese being kach Rabbi Yossi ain't a mina mida. As I said, it's not mina midah. I understand how you can extrapolate one thing from the other thing. Now the next Gemara is very choppy, and everybody changes the gear, cuts and pastes the gear soles to move stuff around to make it much more flow, much more smoothly. Because Gemara seems to ask a question, Rabbi Yochanan, and then the Gemara gives an answer for Bar Kapara, and then the Gemara asks the question Rabbi Yochanan and Bar Kapara after having given the answer. And then the Gemara gives the answer for Rabbi Yochanan. So, very choppy. Okay, so you have to fix it some way or another. But let's the kasha Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Meir. Someone asks, it's a kasha from according to Rabbi Yochanan on Rabbi Meir. For Rabbi Yossi Amar Enami Amida, it's a legitimate question. You know, how does Rabbi Meir extrapolate from previous Mishnayos is talking about, according to Rabbi Yochanan, who holds the previous Mishnayos talk about Isurei Torah and Tumas Torah. How can we talk about all of a sudden extrapolate Isur Rabbanan? Mechtesi. Now the Gemara then goes on to give the answer for Bar Kapara before the question of Rabbi Kapara. So let's skip a couple lines down and put the question first. The kasha the Bar Kapara It's the converse question. It's Rabbi Yossi. It's a question of the exact opposite, according to Bar Kapara. What does Rabbi Yossi mean? Like we said before, this whole time, the Rabbi Yossi Amor is ending this problem. It's obvious Rabbi Meir is correct. Because the whole previous Mishnah is about Tumah Rabbanah, Tumah Deraisa. So, of course, same thing you say, answer to Rabbanah with the Tumah Deraisa. So, how's this work out? According to this question, according to Bar Kapara, what's Rabbi Yossi's question? So, according to Bar Kapara, Rabbi Yossi's question is astonishing. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Meir's extrapolation is astonishing. How do we deal with these two things? So, first, we'll give Bar Kapara's answer. So, Savar, although according to the article, we actually put the whole thing later on. Savar Bar Kapara, going back to the answer, Savar Bar Shimon Lakish, Enchanami. He holds Shimon Lakish that we learn out not from the previous Mishnayos, because in that case, Rabbi Yossi did not have a leg to stand on, right? Was his question? That's obvious. He holds that we're learning out that Meir from Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer, from the case of Truma. Right? He's saying, well, Rabbi Yoshua said you can save the lower gas by being Madam of the Truma, right? So, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua. Right, they learn out from there. So that Rabbi Yossi says, no. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, they say by Tluya and Tamei you can burn together. And that which is matter over there is a totally different thing. But what you said, you can be matzil, the truma from going down to the Gasa Tachtoina. Okay, but when it comes to push comes to shove and burning stuff together, that the only matter Tluya and Tamei. Not like you said, right, Meir, they never matter Tahira in Tamei. So therefore, he rejects Rabbi Meir. So that's Rabbi Yossi's question, a legitimate question, because Rabbi Meir is coming from Rabbi Eliezer and Yeshua, saying, well, just like we can be matame the truma and the gasol yoina, so from going down and stop going to tas tachtoina, so to here you could be burn the tahera, the chametz, the truma tahera chametz with the truma tamea. So he says, right? There's extenuating circumstance, right? It's going to cause you a problem when it comes to, but burning together, there's no extenuating circumstance. Burn them separately. It's what we should say. Only three with tomato, not tomato with tomato. Sorry. So that's how Bar Kapara understands the conversation. So now, but we said the question is the opposite. How can I Meir extrapolate? Right? According to Rabbi Yochanan, the previous to talk about Torah here comes Rabbi Yochanan and says that even by to Rabbanan and Torah. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Avin, the Rabbi, and again I skipped around. You see, right? I put first the question Kasher Bar Kapara, and then Savar Bar Kapara, right? And now after going back to after Kasher Rabbi the Kapara, we're going Rabbi Avin. Rabbi Avin says, Meir Kedai Torah, Meir Machem Divrei Kedivrei Torah. Oh, then that's you mentioned way back at the beginning of our discussion with Gemara. He says that Meir is machmir by the Rabbanans like the Rises. So therefore, he says, I don't distinguish if you do the Risa with the Rabbanans, you can do the Rises with Chamura, you do the Rabbanan with the Risa as well. So, where do we find that Meir is machmir by the Rabbanas like the Risas? So, it's like Rabbi China kaitni atamam like Lemsachs Nida Haroa Kesem. So, a woman who sees a stain, Harezim Kukeles, she's ruined, and she has to be chayshes as if she is a zava, even though she just saw a kesem. Even though Kesem is the Rabbanan, she didn't feel the flow, she didn't see a flow. Nevertheless, she has to be chayshish as if it was a flow of blood, even though we hold some are the Rabbanan. Right? Nevertheless, she has to be chayshish as if she saw a flow of blood. And Chachamim aim b'ksam mishum zov. Chachamim say Chachamim do not have zov because the Rabbanan. So we see a case in which Rabbi Meir is machmir by the Rabbanans like the Raisas. And that's okay. That's why Rabbi Meir extrapolates from to Raisas, to Rabbanans without any issue. Okay. That's the end of the sugya. It's the end of we got to the top of the next number. Stop here.